The New York Giants just got reassuring news about one of their superstars, and he ended up going scorched earth on his critics on social media last night. So let's talk about it. My name's Paul. This is Big Apple Sports. If you're a fan of the Giants, please like and subscribe. Pumping out Giants content every single day. You don't want to miss out. And then also just, when I'm done, when you're done listening to the story, let me know your thoughts on it. I always enjoy talking things out with you guys. So if you haven't seen the story, Skattebo ended up on WWE last night. And I have some things to say about it. A lot of people have had some things to say about it, but I think we need to have a very open and frank discussion here as Giants fans. So just to kind of set the stage, if you didn't see it, I'm not a big WWE guy. I honestly don't really even know who any of these guys are. If you are a WWE fan and you want to comment and give some more background into who these guys are, feel free. I'll be curious to see. But basically what you need to know is some guys come in the crowd, they start making fun of the Giants, and Skattebo gets up, stares them down, as you can see in the picture, and then ends up shoving one of them. He was also there with Abdul Carter and Roy Robertson Harris. The three of them were there. It should have just been a funny viral moment like WWE staged. They obviously had planned for Skattebo to come up. They know everybody loves Skattebo and he's such an animal. But, of course, New York media can't leave the poor kid alone. And we got to start blasting him for doing stuff while injured. So his teammates all had his back. Like, a lot of his teammates had comments to say about it today. Andrew Thomas said Cam's crazy. He was laughing about it. But on ESPN, you got Chris Carlin for ESPN New York said he could not have been angrier at the just remarkable stupidity shown by Skattebo. He was one of the lone bright spots of this team, and it's hard to believe he'd get involved like that. And then Bart Scott added, whether you're playing wrestling or wrestling, it's still a physical act. They went on, somebody else said the optics are so bad. And then went on to say, I'm not here to be the buzzkill or holier than thou or the dean of discipline. He's got a lot of metaphors for that. But, dude, use common sense. What happens if there's a little beer or a little water or a little seltzer on the Madison Square Garden floor and he slips and he loses control? And it's like, first, come on. I mean, like, he could slip at his own house. Like, are we really going to sit here and talk? I mean, what if he just attended the event as a fan? Is that too much? Like, is he putting himself in harm's way? Because he could slip just attending that event. We just get off the guy's back. Let him live his life. And I'll kind of get more into that in a second here. But I did want to bring up Skattebo fired back, just like he did at the event. You insult the Giants, he's going to shove a professional WWE wrestler. You insult him, he's going to come at you on social media. So, scrolling down here, it says, he said, hey, honestly, if you don't like that, I'm having a good time while dealing with a tough time, then just go ahead and unfollow and casually move on. He said on X, formerly known as Twitter. I think it's funny that like 2 years later, we still have to specify that X is Twitter. But that's neither here nor there. And then he said, there's a couple comments from other people. He said, I'm not able to play football and have the fun I've been having my whole life, so I'm doing things outside the box, trying to find stuff to keep me happy. Enjoy the rest of y'all's week, and just don't talk about me if you ain't got nothing nice to say. I mean, for one, just great life advice. If you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it. My mom's told me that 100 times. Some adults still struggle with that. But, I liked to see some of his teammates came to his defense. Tyrone Tracy, talked about how he was fighting with him at home and he's a wild man. And Andrew Thomas was laughing, said he's crazy. And I think that's the whole point that we need to understand here is Skattebo is what he is. And he's not a great NFL player because he's like Tom Brady, where everything is calculated and smart. And he is a great NFL player because he's literally a wild, unhinged animal who's afraid of nothing. And the second we try to like rein that in and criticize him for it, he ceases to be the Cam Skattebo we know and love. And like I know, like you don't want to see your injured superstars taking risks. But I think in this situation, you have to trust Cam Skattebo. And in some ways, it kind of reminds me of like, I remember Gronk used to get criticized for the Patriots because he would do things like WWE events and you'd see him at parties and stuff and people would be like, man, why, like, is he bought in? Why is he doing this kind of stuff? Why isn't he, because Gronk would struggle with injuries too. Like, why isn't he focused on this? Why isn't he doing this? But at the end of the day, Gronk was a Hall of Fame player. And Gronk, he's another one of these guys. He is who he is, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. And when push comes to shove, he absolutely brought it for the Patriots. Like, he's maybe the best tight end of all time, certainly top 5 and in that conversation. So, like, I don't know why anybody feels the need to question his work ethic. And same thing with Cam Skattebo is, like, if you have watched this kid play for a second, like, he would die on the field for his team. Like, I don't even feel like that's a hyperbole here. The way he plays, he literally would, like, do anything for his teammates. Like, you see him fight his booty off for every single inch on the football field, even in college. Like, I remember watching him in, like, the playoffs last year for Arizona State and just amazed at him because you just see him out on the field like throwing up and bleeding and he doesn't care. He's putting it all on the line. That's who he is. And like this is what we signed up for. I pulled up a few like scouting reports on him. He is a carnage creator. That's from 247 Sports. This one says he runs the football with a violence and has a never say die mentality, creating violent collisions. And then as we've learned to embrace him and love him on the Giants, you got his teammates saying like he is literally a crazy person. Jackson Dart says, I mean, he's crazy, bro. He's crazy, but he's a baller. And like that's why people love him. That's why he's as famous as he is. That's why they probably wanted him to come to this WWE event, is like the guy is a crazy person. He's an animal. He's unhinged. He's all of these things. And that's what makes him Cam Skattebo. And if we start talking about like, oh, you got to grow up. You got to, like, you shouldn't be doing these kinds of things. We're taking away from who he is. I think we all can trust here. Like, this guy cares about football. And he's going to crush his rehab. And he's going to make it back. And he's going to be a baller next year. And we all just got to chill out and let him be him. Like there's not a whole lot he can do right now. Some of the best things he can do is just have fun and stay positive and be who he is. So let's lay off and let him do his thing. And I talked at the beginning, I said it was reassuring news. What we need to be reassured about is that Cam Skattebo is still, like, he still has his mentality. Like, he's still the crazy, I'm never backing down, I'm never giving up, I'm going to fight every day of my life. Like, he is still that guy, and we should all be very reassured that, like, this injury is not going to change who he is. He's still going to be a violent runner. He's still going to be a crazy person, whether he's injured or not. Like, that's who he is, and we can expect that Cam Skattebo back next year. And honestly, if there's one story that's not really getting talked about, it's kind of Abdul Carter there. I don't want to throw him under the bus. I think we, as like New York fans, need to stop being so toxic to our superstars and let them develop a little bit. But it's not the best look to, the whole sleeping through practice. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But he was benched for the first drive yesterday, all over the media with that. And then the very next night, after a tough loss where he kind of had a really disappointing game, he's out at a WWE event. If anything, I think that's a worse look than Cam Skattebo. But I don't think I don't think anybody needs to worry about either of them personally. Sometimes you just got, like, these are 22, 23-year-olds. We were all that young once. You just got to let them be them, and I think it'll be okay. But you guys let me know what you think, and then don't forget, just like and subscribe on the way out.